and welcome to Stocks 100. Today we're joined by Jim Haden, CEO of BluGlass. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Mark. It's nice to be here.
You're in town for Semiconductor Australia, but we'll talk a bit about that a bit later on. To kick off this interview, can you talk a little bit about BluGlass and your technology for people that are not familiar with the company?
Yeah, BluGlass is one of a handful of gallium nitride, which is a semiconductor, laser companies in the world. And what we do is we make visible lasers that can address many applications from industrial, defense, biotechnology, science, and display.
Right, okay. So in July, you announced that you received a $2 million payment from a European wafer manufacturer. Can you talk a little bit about that customer and how you see that going in the next couple of years? So what sort of work are you doing for them, or have you done, and what's the potential for sort of follow-on work down the line?
Yes, so stepping back a minute, as you know, last year was a record year for us. We ended with 10.1 income, and that was capped by this IP sale. And the company that we are working for is not in photonics or in lasers or anything. So this IP is unrelated to the laser business I just talked about. And so what this did is we've been working for a couple of years with this company, and we've been developing a technique to use our growth technology on top of their specialized wafers. And there's the industry is different from ours, and we entered into the agreement knowing that they may want to acquire the IP, so they have the rights to it. And the fact that they wanted it meant that they're, one, happy with the business, and two, very happy with the progress. And the potential is there as their markets grow to get more work. Right now we are still creating those wafers for them and shipping them. So right now they're a customer of our foundry. And there is more potential, if needed, to generate more IP for them.
Right. And so this deal concerns MOCVD on gallium nitride. So what's the potential for your own technology, your proprietary RPCVD, to be some sort of upsell maybe down the line?
There's always potential depending on where it goes. There's definitely in the GaN, there's advantages to that, as we talked about before. So when we see those opportunities, we could augment the MOCVD with the RPCVD technology, as we'll do for our lasers as well.
Right, okay. And is this the structure of the commercial side of things, would this be a deal where down the line you get sort of royalties as their sales ramp up, or would you be sort of manufacturing in a foundry setup their wafers for them?
Yeah, so it's I think right now the way it's set up is we will be doing the growth. There's for them to support their business, and so we'll have them as a customer. So it's a direct sale.
Right. Okay. A little while ago, I think last month in September, you mentioned that unfortunately you missed out on a first round of funding in the Claws Hub in the US. Can you maybe explain first of all what the Claws Hub is and what BluGlass's role is in that hub?
Okay, there are 8 hubs that were part of the US ME Microelectric Commons, which is an offset of, you may have heard of the CHIPS Act. So there's quite a bit of interest, and like 460 companies that became part of that. Our hub is one of the 8, and there's only 8 of us, but it's microelectronics commons, and so most of the companies in that are for wide bandgap semiconductors, called commercial leap ahead wide bandgap semiconductor. That's what the clause is. A lot of it is making sure that we're onshoring some of the technology that, as it came up through COVID and so forth, some of these things were at risk by not being onshores in countries like US and Australia. So we'd like to fortify that and bring it onshore. We are the only photonics company in there, so it's a little bit different, but they like what we're doing. They said, this is so important to things like quantum and the quantum sensing, quantum computing, which is connected to AI. It's also important for things like LiDAR, which can be used in airplanes for atmospheric sensing and also underwater, and then undersea communications and so forth. So there's a lot of defense applications.
Right.
And so that hub is where we are building up the lab to fab sort of infrastructure. NCSU is the lab, we are the fab. And we went through the first year and we've developed a capability to create a certain number of products that they think are important. The DFB is one of those in our single mode lasers as well, right now spanning violet up to blue. We did win some projects, and we've learned through the process what they were looking for in the projects. And there was another call for topics. We actually had 4 companies that came to us and said, we'd like to submit topics with you.
Right.
So we've got NCSU plus these 4 companies that we've submitted topics, and we believe we understand how to entice them. But we have a little bit of a hurdle because it's microelectronics and we're photonic.
Yeah, right.
So the fact that we're in is a really good testament to the technology and what the U.S. government saw in it. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I guess the good news is there's multiple runs coming, right? So I mean, it's
it's a 5-year program. There's 4 years left.
Yeah, okay. Good news is the other day you saw on the 22nd of October you announced a deal with Photonics Integrated Circuits. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that means for BluGlass?
Yeah, this is a really exciting partnership. There are several quantum fields that we want to go into. And a photonic integrated circuit is almost like an IC, which, integrated circuits in computers, everybody's more aware, the ones and zeros for electrical, but you could put more than one component, one more optical component onto a chip, and it's a photonic integrated circuit. And so there's a myriad of things. They could be used in communications within computers, so there's quantum computing and so forth. This opportunity is a huge opportunity that we wanted to go into in biomedical, biophotonics field. This is a company that's been formed to go after these specific markets. They're a stealth company. And what we would like to do, one reason we're excited about it is because they bring the experience from IR, and they need somebody that knows GaN. And so together, we bring these 2 complementary skill sets to get the photonic integrated circuits in GaN.
Right. Okay. So if you look at that sort of opportunity plus what's coming in clause, what's the potential then looking out a couple of years? We spoke about it already. There's more years in the clause.
So with this particular opportunity, it's forecasted to be a $5 billion market. And so it's a big one. And if you look at then the quantum computing, they're saying it's a $125 billion market in a decade. And before that, we're looking at a $1 to $5 or $6 billion market for quantum sensing. And those are things that you could use for autonomous vehicles and so forth. That market's coming a little faster than the quantum computing. So we're excited about the whole opportunity there.
Okay. Awesome. Lastly, Jim, you're in town for Semiconductor Australia 2024, which is the first one. Hopefully, many more to come. BluGlass was basically the initiator, or one of them at least. So, first of all, please explain what Semiconductor Australia is, what it's trying to achieve, and why was BluGlass sort of at the forefront of getting the ball rolling on this?
I think that, what it is it's trying to bring together government officials, investors, and Australian companies that have some sort of link to the semiconductor market. They either make chips, they use chips, or like us, we're photonics and semiconductors, right? So it's not as well known in Australia as it is where there's many conferences in the US. So this is an idea to bring together those groups so the government can learn, and we could learn from the government, and investors could learn both how the government's thinking about semiconductors and how these businesses are capitalizes on the special things that semiconductors can do. They're really ubiquitous. They're all around us. Yep. So it's an educational thing, and I believe that the one reason that we are interested in it is because it should be able to not only help us, but help our other companies that are in this industry, and I think ultimately help Australia because, as part of AUKUS and everything, we need to have this kinds of technology on all of our allies continents.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, look, and I think there's a lot of education to be done in Australia on the semiconductor side of things. although it's growing slowly in terms of what people understand about semiconductors and the industry and the dynamics. So that's good to see. So yeah, I think initiatives like this are very welcome for Australia and investors as well. Jim, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. So it was a pleasure.